I'm Bryn Cross.
I'm Alexis Gross.
I'm Ainsley Dozier.
I'm Alan Kamisha.
I'm Hunter Fox.
And we decided that we wanted to test the bystander effect. What is the bystander effect? The bystander effect is like the probability of a person helping in an emergency is greater when there are no other bystanders than when there are, so if there's one bystander, like there's more likely they'll help than if there's four or more. Darley and Latane developed a model of the intervention process in emergencies. The bystander must make a series of decisions under conditions of stress, urgency, and threat of possible harm in order to finally make a decision to help. The 4 steps to a person helping. They have to notice the relevant event or not. So if someone drops their stuff, they have to actually see that someone has dropped their stuff. They have to define the event as an emergency. So if it looks like the person has it under control, then they're probably not going to help. But if it's a big mess and they can't handle it by themselves, then they might help. Feeling personal responsibility for helping out. So if they bumped into the person and caused them to drop their books, then they'll help. And deciding how to help, direct or indirect intervention. So just picking them up or helping some other way. When alone, 85% of people will help someone, but when there are 4 or more, this number drops drastically to 31%.
For our hypothesis, we also believe that if there's a bigger group, then people are less likely to help. We kind of thought like the diffusion of responsibility might have something to do with it, that if it's a big group, everyone else in the group might think someone else is going to help, so no one ends up helping. And if there's just one person, then they'd be more likely to help. We kind of did 2 field days and 1, because we also, before we actually did our experiment, we conducted surveys. And so on the surveys, we also believe that the people that said they were helped more than likely probably wouldn't help.
The way that we conducted our research was we started off with first a closed-ended question survey, just 5 questions, and we each took 10. So we had a total of 50 participants for the surveys. And as you can see, they're real short questions, either yes or no, or in favor of helping someone or not, except for number 5 gives a little bit of leeway because it's got the idea of the group involved with it as well. The answers for the first one, of just would you help someone if they were in trouble, were 100% of the people said that they totally would. And we have to also think of the response bias as well. You know, are they just giving what we want to hear, or are they actually giving the truth? A lot of people say that they would, but you'll see later in a video if they actually do or not. And something interesting to point out, the last one, we actually have more than 50 answers. That's because people actually decided to pick more than one, seeing as we have 3 different options.
Okay, now here's our video showing you what the actual, what people actually did in certain situations on like what they would do. Sorry about that. As you can see right here, a teacher actually watched me drop my papers and walked.
Who is that?
And she also said, "Oh, you dropped your papers again," and yet did not help me pick them up. I dropped this. My papers didn't fly off as much, so it kind of looked like I had it under control. So they didn't really help me there. And
The group of people that walked by actually turned and laughed at him and did not help him at all, just continued to walk by.
yeah, the group that walked right in front of the camera. So you would think that people wouldn't laugh in certain situations like that anymore, but I mean, you can get surprised by anything.
And the girl in the blue looked like she wanted to help but couldn't decide.
And this is actually interesting. There was 5 people walking by me at this point, and we didn't get much video, but one person actually stopped to help, and when he helped, one other person helped along with him, which kind of went away from the more people, less helpful. There was 4 people here. They, as you can see, watched or heard me drop something, they all stopped, turned around and looked at me, and they just turned around and kept walking.
So overall, we learned that people are much more likely to respond well to a survey, but then in reality not help at all. Our findings definitely matched our hypothesis because we believed that people would not help after they responded. People actually told me, like, when filling out the survey, that they wanted to be a superhero and they would help people if they were in this situation. But as you can see, most people didn't help. Some even laughed. And the most surprising thing that happened to us was that someone actually laughed at us and just kept walking. And that the professor just went out of his way to walk around Alan's things and did not help them. Pick them up. So that was our field day for the bystander effect.